Iconic black Stutz. This is probably my favorite Elvis vehicle, and as I'm up here looking, I see the spare tire on top of the trunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the trunk is actually tied to a button in the glove compartment. So there's, as you see, there's no way to open it without having to push the button, which means you need battery powers. Or I would gladly show you this truck as well. It's quite amazing. So this 73 Stutz Elvis buys in September '74.
I feel like I'm used car shopping. You're trying to sell me, and I'm going to buy this one.
Sell you.
You don't have to hard sell me on this one.
Do you want a Stutz?
You know what? I'll take this one as is.
You know, he paid a little over $20,000 for it. It's one of several Stutz that Elvis actually owned. The unique thing about this car is that if you run the numbers that are on the side of the door, it's supposed to have black leather interior. As you can see, Elvis customized it yet again. Not only with the red leather interior, but all of the gold trim that you see inside the car.
Oh, yeah.
This car actually is completely functional. We recently had it completely restored a couple of years ago, and it made its debut at the Speedway in North Carolina. You know who drove it?
I do know who drove it. I'm a fan of NASCAR, and you got the most iconic NASCAR driver to drive one of Elvis's most iconic cars. Dale Earnhardt Jr. drives this car. But there has to be a part of you thinking, I've just given the keys to Elvis's Stutz to a NASCAR driver.
Yes. And
they have heavy feet.
They do have very heavy feet. And this car's got some pickup, believe it or not. And, you know, Dale loved driving it. Of course, he's a huge Elvis fan, so it was a great honor for him.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, this car here is actually completely restored inside and out. Well, the inside's still original, but as far inside, I mean, under the hood.
And this was an everyday car for Elvis, too. I mean,
it was. Can you imagine driving down, you know, the streets here in Memphis and this car pull up next to you?
Well, it was either Isaac Hayes or Elvis if you were in Memphis in the 70s.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
This also was the last car Elvis drove.
There's that iconic photo of Elvis at the gates of Graceland in this car.
Exactly, taken on August the 16th, after he returned home from the dentist. You know, so this was the last car Elvis drove, which kind of, if you start going through Elvis's car history, cars had a cycle. You know, he would buy them, he would drive them, he would give them away or trade them in for newer cars. There were a few exceptions, obviously the pink Cadillac's one of them. But for him to buy this car in September of '74 and still be driving it in '77, we have to determine that this was one of his favorites.
And not his only Stutz, though. He had bought Stutz's earlier, right?
Oh yeah, his first Stutz he actually purchased was ordered by Frank Sinatra. But Elvis showed up at the dealership the same day the car showed up. And Elvis left with the car that day, kind of charmed his way to owning his first Stutz.
Yep. Elvis knocks Sinatra off the charts a couple of times, and then he
steals his car.
Then he takes his car.
This is one of the centerpieces of our collection.
Well, thank you so much for letting me look at this one. And like I said, this is one of those cars that when you think of Elvis, and you think of Elvis in the '70s, you think of this car. You think of the Stutz.
Yes.
Yeah. I've actually even met some people that have named their dogs Stutz.
Oh, really?
Because of this car. So
because of this car.
Cool.